Hello, thank you for checking out A1 Math, and today we're looking at modeling with an arithmetic sequence. Um, what we want to do first is model an arithmetic sequence from a table. So let's begin. It says construct an explicit rule in function notation for the arithmetic sequence represented in the table. Then interpret the meaning of the specific term of the sequence in the given context. So the table shows f of n, the distance it bows from the store after Mila has traveled in hours. So what that means is the time, the number of hours is represented with n, how much time she's traveled from the store, and f of n represents the number of miles traveled. Okay, then it says determine the value of f of 10 and what it represents in this situation. Okay, so first we want to write an explicit rule. So in order to write an explicit rule, we have our rule up here. F of n is equal to f of 1 plus d times n minus 1. And we need two things. We need the common difference and we need the first term. So I'm going to start off with the first term. And the first term here is f of 1, which is equal to 20. So that's the first term. Okay, next we're going to find the common difference by taking the second term and subtracting it from the first one. So the common difference is going to be 32 minus 20, which gives us 12. All right, now we're going to take both of those and plug it in to write the explicit rule. So I start off with f of n is equal to f of 1, which is 20, plus the common difference, which is 12, times n minus 1. Okay, so we've written the explicit rule. So now we want to determine the value for f of 10. So I'm going to change colors on that. Okay, and in order to do f of 10, I'm going to do f of 10, find out what that is. And all that means is we're going to plug in 10 for n. Okay, so once we plug that in, now we can solve for that. And when we do, we get 128. So what does that mean? That means after she travels for 10 hours, the distance traveled is 128 miles. So what you would write would be this. So Mila is 128 miles from the store after 10 hours. Okay, go ahead and take a look at this example and see if you can come up with the correct solution. Okay, so this should be what you get. So the total cost of 18 battery packs is $72.90. Okay. So you write your explicit rule. They showed you the common difference here, and they wrote the rule here. Okay. All right. Then they plugged in 18 in the n spot, and 18 minus 1 is 17. So that's how they got 17 there. And they went ahead and solved it and got $72.90. Okay, now we're going to take a look at modeling an arithmetic sequence from a graph. So let's take a look at this one. It says construct an explicit rule and function notation for an arithmetic sequence represented in a graph and use it to solve the problem. So it says the graph shows the height in inches of a stack of boxes on the table as the number of boxes in the stack increases. Find the height of the stack with 7 boxes. So they show after one um, box, the height is 34, and after 2 boxes is 51, and so on. They want to know what it's going to be after 71. I'm sorry, after 7 boxes is stacked up there. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and make a table. And I have n, which is the number of boxes, and f of n, which represents the height. So from the graph, I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 boxes. And then I have 34, 51, 68, and 85, respectively. So I've got the table. Now it's similar to the problem we did previously. All I got to do is find my first term and my common difference and plug them in. So I'm going to go ahead and write the first term. That's f of 1, and that's equal to 34. And then I'm going to find my common difference and set that equal to the second term minus the first term. And that's going to equal 17. All right, now I have my first term and my common difference, and I'm going to plug them into my formula. So I have f of n is equal to my first term, which is 34, plus my common difference, which is 17. And I'm going to multiply it times n minus 1. All right, so now we'll take f of n, or f of the number of boxes we want to find. I'm going to change the color on that. So I'm going to make this blue. So now this is the actual rule. This is the explicit rule. So now I'm going to find out what's going to be with 7 boxes. So I'm plugging in 7 at n. And once I do that, I'll have 136 inches. So what does that mean? Well, if you want to write that in context, you would write it like this. So the height of the stack with 7 boxes is 136 inches. All right, now take a look at number 6 and see if you can solve this one. Okay, so you should get this. So this person here, I want to say Quinn, will save a total of $800 after 12 months. So you set up your common difference here, which is 50, and you write out your explicit rule here, starting with your first term, which is 250. And then you plug in 12 months, and then 12 minus 1 is going to get you 11, and then you end up with 800. Okay, so now we're going to model with the arithmetic sequence, but this time we're going to use it in context. So we're going to read the problem, figure out what's going to be our first term and what's going to be our common difference, write our explicit formula, and then find out what they want us to find out. So it says here, construct an explicit rule in function notation for the arithmetic sequence represented and use it to solve the problem. Justify and evaluate your answer. So here it says Ruby signed up for a frequent flyer program. She receives 3,400 frequent flyer miles for the first round trip she takes and 1,200 frequent flyer miles for all additional round trips. How many frequent flyer miles would Ruby have after 5 round trips? So what you want to do is you want to take your read the problem, figure out what's the first thing, where does she begin at, where does she start at, what's the first term. So every single time when she starts off, she's going to start off with 3,400. So 3,400 is going to be our first term. So f of 1 is equal to 3,400. That's what she begins with. Then, typically on this next step, we'll try to find the common difference. Okay, and we would take the previous, subtract it from the first. But what happens there is it goes up by a certain amount every single time. And that amount here is 1,200. So it's going up by 1,200 frequent flyer miles every time she takes a trip. So our common difference here is 1,200. All right. So next, what we're going to do is just write our formula here. And remember, it's going to be f of n is equal to f of 1 plus d times n minus 1. I'm going to plug the first term in, which is f of n is equal to our first term, 3,400, plus the common difference, which is 1,200, times n minus 1. All right, so that's the explicit rule. Now we want to find out what happens after she makes 5 round trips. So we're going to plug in 5 for n. That's going to be equal to 3,400 plus 1,200 times 5 minus 1. Once you type that in your calculator, you end up with 8,200. So what does that mean? Well, after 5 round trips, we would have 8,200 frequent flyer miles. So that's what you would write. Okay, now go ahead and take a look at number 8 here and see if you can solve that one. All right, so you should have this. Okay, so the first term in this one is 100, and it makes a change every month by $50. And then how much a person would spend after 6 months, you would plug that 6 into your explicit formula, which is here, and get 350. So after 6 months, a person would have spent $350 on a gym membership. Okay, so that is modeling with an arithmetic sequence from context, from a graph, and from a table. I want to thank you for checking out A1 Math, and have a nice day.